discussion this morning, and we are diving into a topic that actually touches every single one of us, whether you're in the boardroom, you're in the classroom, or the market store, everywhere you are. It's not about politics this morning, it's not about economy, but in truth, it affects all of us. And we're talking about personal hygiene. Now, you may think that, of course, I bath, of course, I brush my teeth, of course, I do all the things that I have to do. But let me remind you, in Ghana, like I told you a while ago, diarrhea still kills nearly 10,000 children every year. And cholera outbreaks continue to claim lives, and poor hygiene is right at the center of it. So the big question is, if hygiene is simple and inexpensive, why do we still struggle as a nation? And more importantly, what can we do about it? And that is what we're talking about this morning. I've got two medical doctors in studio this morning, and they're going to help me have this conversation. I have Neymar Osei, Dr. Neymar Osei, and also Dr. Charles Ahiagbe. These are the two gentlemen I'll be talking to this morning. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good
welcome
morning.
to the Business Breakfast on Z.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. So let's get into our conversation. I mean, this is something that oftentimes when we talk about personal hygiene, we're looking at junior high school and primary, because that's where they taught us some of those basic things. But it also tells us how important it is, because the foundation of a thing is always better than even the whole thing. And so that is why they focus on that when we're growing up. But let's start this way. Maybe if you can tell us, from your perspectives as medical doctors, how big of a problem is poor personal hygiene in Ghana? And I'll start with you, Neymar.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. And to be honest, it's been hard to give a wide scope as to the whole Ghana. But as you said, from my perspective, I can say it's quite a big issue, considering the fact that we still have a lot of these very preventable infectious diseases still ongoing. As you rightly mentioned, cholera is still a thing that happens, and still a thing we should be very much aware of. There are some other skin conditions that are related to poor hygiene. I think these are some of the things that we constantly see, scabies and the rest of them. So yeah, it's quite a big issue still, though I think there have been some improvements with time. We haven't had such a big cholera scare in such a while. Like, the last time we had it was like in 2014, though there have been some minor cases here and there.
Right.
But I think there's been some improvement.
Yeah. Okay. Doc, now if I say Doc, I don't know which of you I'm referring to. So, okay. So, Matthias, right? Charles, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Charles.
Yes.
Yeah, Charles. So share from your perspective as well.
Okay, so I would want to add to what Dr. Nehemiah said,
Yeah.
but in addition to that, I would want to say a big good morning to all your cherished listeners. Another thing I would want to add to that is the attitude of Ghanaians, generally towards hygiene. We have these sayings like, oh, African germs don't kill. We use that as an excuse to engage in certain habits that we shouldn't. So in addition to structural and infrastructural problems, there's also that attitudinal problem that is there that also has to be looked at. So that's why I'd want to just drop that and then we continue.
Right, very important. So it means that it's still a big problem anyway. Neymar, I don't know why I keep saying Matthias, but Neymar actually mentioned the fact that we've made some progress over the past few years. And you mentioned 2014?
Yes.
As where we have, a year that we had a big blow of cholera in the country. Yeah, but generally, from, real life experience, I know that at the hospitals, you have cases come there and all of that. Yeah, but as you walk in the streets of Accra, as you visit certain stores, certain food joints and all, what do we see? Do we see some conscious efforts towards personal hygiene?
Okay, to chip in, if you'd notice, right, visit any eatery, let's say a chop bars we call it, and then observe the typical Ghanaian eat. What do? When the water is placed before us, we rinse our hands. You've sat in the car, touch chairs, touch lots of dirty surface, but you just rinse your hands with the water.
Without
soap? Without soap, just rinsing. You eat your fufu, your banku, then it's after that you find the need to use the soap to wash your hands. You've already gotten the germs inside and then, So it's something that is there. In addition to moving around, dropping litter, littering and stuff, but even with hygiene in the perspective of food, we have that problem. You sit down, you eat, and after eating, you wash your hands with soap. It shouldn't be. should be before and after.
Neymar, do you see that also?
Oh yes, it's something we you see. We all eat from outside from time to time.
Yeah.
Also, another thing to have noticed, there's also this. People tend to have this attempt of making good hygiene practices in preparing their food and dishing out their foods. They'll probably wear a glove and then make it look like it's all cool, but they'll use the same glove to take money to share the thing. Like it's still the same. Yeah, going back to square one of reducing the hygiene, like breaking the hygiene barriers. Yeah, but I mean, there's an attempt anyways, but more education needs to go out there. Yeah.
Now back to the soap issue. I think the general perception of people is that if you use the soap, there are certain chemicals in there that are harmful to your health. Maybe you might have to tell us what exactly that is. But people think that the soap has certain chemicals, and so because of that, if I use it to wash my hand before eating, then the chemicals will probably get into my mouth and my tummy, and maybe I'll get some infection, anything, you know. So what do you have to say to that?
So it shouldn't be that way. If you rinse your hands properly, get all the lather out, all the foam out, you are good to go. So it shouldn't be that way.
So there are no chemicals. Are we saying there are no chemicals in soap that are harmful to us when they probably enter our mouth and all of that?
Well, obviously, if you should take a bar of soap and just put it in your mouth, then that's certainly wrong. Soap is made up of chemicals. Like we use certain things to make the soap, and they are not beneficial to our health if you ingest them in any way. That's why we advise that you wash your hands under running water. It's just like you take a bath in the morning, you take a shower, you pour the water on you, the lather all goes off, the soap goes off. You shouldn't fear the chemicals so much because we wash them or rinse them off after we are done washing our hands. It's not anything.
But you know, there are times that you wash your hand, especially in a part of the world where people don't quite use a lot of liquid soap sometimes. You know, they pick the bar soap anyway, especially key soap, and then they just wash their hands. Sometimes you still smell it on your hands after rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. So doesn't it leave anything on our hands?
That would just be the fragrance that has been added to the soap.
Okay.
Yes. So once you get the ladder off, you are good to go. You are good to go.
So the first thing we're advising our listeners this morning is that they should wash their hands with soap before they eat. And I remember there was this advert. I think it was a key soap advert. I'm not sure if you remember. When we were very young. For some, you know? And then there was some, I don't know whether some pink or some mauve colored stains and all of that. And I think that's actually sent a very good message to us. But we've left some of those things. And the Gen Z people will not really understand. All right. Anyway, so can you walk us through, like, the statistics, really? Diarrhea, cholera, skin infections, and what those numbers actually look like in daily practice from where you sit. Let me start with you, Neymar.
Okay, so I cannot say there have been several studies here based in Ghana that we can use, but then I have some research that has been done by the UN and WHO. They state that at least about, if we wash our hands regularly, we can reduce diarrheal diseases by about 47%, which is quite a big margin.
Repeat that.
Yeah, we can reduce diarrheal diseases by about 47%.
If we do what?
Wash our hands regularly with soap and water under running water. So it's quite a big margin by which you can reduce some of these events. So you can think about the last time you had a tummy ache. It's not necessarily tummy aches are always linked to eating bad stuff or poor hygiene, but most of the times, or a lot of the times, it's actually is here in Ghana. So diseases like typhoid and cholera, they can start with some tummy ache presentations, and it's you always hear people saying they're treating for typhoid, they're treating for this.
So typhoid actually comes as a result of bad hygiene when it comes to washing your hands and eating and all of that.
Forgive me for saying, but if you have typhoid or cholera, it's more or less like you've eaten someone's fecal matter. Because that is how it's.
Some of us have not had breakfast this morning. Relax.
That's why forgive me for saying, but it's the route of transmission is fecal oral. So someone doesn't use the washroom very well, touches things, you touch the same thing, you don't wash your hands, you just eat, you put in that matter in your mouth. Then the whole process starts. The bacteria just keep compounding and you have the symptoms and finally the disease.
So are we very vulnerable as a country? From what you see across the streets, are we very vulnerable?
Yeah.
How vulnerable are we?
Well, to ask how vulnerable again, it would be a very difficult thing to give exact numbers. But yeah, from the practices we see on our daily lives on the streets in terms of how we prepare food and dish out our food and how people try to neglect some of these basic hygiene things. Like when you go out and see people eating fufu, just wash your fingertips and you start licking from the elbow upwards. I mean, if you look at some of these things, you can see we actually quite vulnerable, very vulnerable, and maybe God has been on our side too.
And I think that is also one of the things. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because when you started, when Charles started, I thought he was coming to talk about the God thing. Oh, God will take care of us. So, because of that. But I think that's one of the things. People think that God will take care of us. So don't worry, Charlie, live your life, do your things. Yeah. But what do you have to say to that, Charles?
So for one, the fact that God will take care of us does not clear or take out the need for certain precautionary steps. For example, so God will take care of me, so I wouldn't check my car brakes. I'll drive without brakes. I mean, the brake pad is faulty and I'll just go and drive. No, you don't do that. There are certain steps that need to be taken, and then you trust God to take care of you. But you don't neglect or just throw away what should be done and then hide it. I think it's just a lazy excuse, right? To hide behind that instead of doing the right thing, be like, oh, God will take care of me. But He's given certain steps, certain principles, right? And this wisdom to make soaps and antibiotics, and I believe it comes from God to promote healthy living. So we don't throw away His provisions and then hide under He would protect or He would provide for me. Just like saying, I'll jump off this cliff and then God would catch me, as Jesus was tempted to do. He didn't do that, you see, so we shouldn't.
So don't lean too much on God. I mean, somebody says that God will not do for you what you have to do for yourself. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like you have food in front of you and say you have faith. God should take the food and put it in your mouth. It won't happen. No. It's giving you hands to be able to do that. And so please, let's take very good care of our health. But my question now is, why do we still see people not pay attention to personal hygiene, even though we know that it is something very important and we know the causes, we know the effects of some of these things? Why are we not really paying a lot of attention to that? What are the reasons? Is it education? Is it, what exactly is it? Okay, Charles, back to you.
I think it's all that and more. Some are within and some without. Within meaning a person's personal attitude, right, to hygiene. He has all these mentalities. African germs don't kill. I mean, God will take care of me, as you've rightly added, and all that. So that is a contributing factor. And also certain things that go beyond the person in terms of infrastructure, societal infrastructure. I mean, inadequate access to clean potable water. Definitely you want to wash your hands, but you don't have any clean source of water close to you. You don't have access to soap. I mean, how do you do that? You will not be able to. Yeah. So I think it's a cocktail of all those factors put together. Yes.
What other issues are there, Neymar?
Well, I think he has said the majority of the things. To be honest, I think we are not reminded enough to sometimes. You go to the workplaces. When COVID came, the whole agenda towards hand washing was raised. And and almost every workplace you go to, you see a basin there. They've made provision for some water and some soap for you to wash your hands and get them clean. So we are not necessarily reminded enough, especially at some of our workplaces. So people can easily neglect some of these things and, as I said, transfer some of these bacteria around initially. I think that's one of the things, or one other thing I just want to add in.
And then to chip it quickly, around the COVID period when hand washing was intensified, data has it that the diarrheal diseases also came down.
Wow.
People were washing their hands to prevent COVID. But then in doing that, I mean, they protected themselves from these diarrheal diseases too. So as he said, that sensitization, right? Let's wash our hands as regularly, as frequently as we can with clean water, running water, and then soap. It does a lot. Okay. As simple as it is, it does a lot.
Right. Okay. So I think we've tried to talk about this, but the focus has been on hand washing. Yeah, but I think personal hygiene goes beyond that, doesn't it?
It does.
So what exactly, let's break that down now. When we talk about personal hygiene, what are we talking about?
So basically, the main areas when we talk about personal hygiene is our mouth, so keeping good oral hygiene, skin and nails, and taking our showers regularly, keeping our genital area very clean, and then our anal region. So I think these are the main areas when it comes we talk about personal hygiene. Yeah, these are the main areas. However, hand washing seems to be the most basic of them. That's how come we almost instinctively go towards washing your hands. But I mean, oral hygiene is very key. Genital areas are very key. We see a lot of infections people can have with their genital area when they don't wash very well. So,
what are the effects of not taking very good care of your? So you mentioned oral hygiene. Let's take it one after the other. So you mentioned oral hygiene, your genital areas. So let's take it one after the other. So what are the effects of not paying so much attention to your oral health or oral hygiene? Neymar.
Well, the first thing is bad odor. It's one of the easiest things for anyone to notice. You're speaking to someone and they see and they just smell your breath and stay away from me. So that's one of the first things.
If you care about people, you take care of your oral health.
I mean, and also it affects your personal image too. I mean, health encompasses not just the physical aspects, but our mental aspect too. So if people are always shying away from you, then it affects how you relate to people and some other aspects of your psychological being.
And even your confidence, I think.
Yes, exactly. And aside that too, we have some infections that are easy to get, gingivitis, infections of the gum. And some of these infections sometimes can get into your blood, cause massive blowouts, and you have something we call the sepsis, like an infection that's affecting every part of your body, and it's kind of very serious. Can go to your heart, and you can get some really bad outcomes.
Do you have anything to add to that, Charles?
Yes. So to add to Nehemiah's definition of personal hygiene, we call it personal, but when you observe that, you're actually protecting other people too.
Yeah.
So there's that dimension to personal hygiene. And then also, as you said, it makes it socially acceptable because you look good, you smell good. I mean, people want to, associate with you. Not like, okay, maybe the skunk is coming, excuse me to say, right? Okay, that is just by the way. Right. So in addition to that, so for example, oral hygiene, you may just think it's brushing your teeth 2 times a day, getting some floss, getting some mouthwash, you think that is it. But in actual fact, as Nehemiah said, it has further far-reaching effects positively. Protects your heart. I mean, there are studies to even show that diabetics who have oral issues, they see an improvement in their sugar control when they take care of their oral health. So it goes just beyond cleaning your mouth. It has an effect on the whole body, even internally. It protects the heart too, as he rightly said, that the gum is not well, certain bacteria can leak into the blood, damage the blood vessels. When it affects those blood vessels that supply the heart, I mean, it could cause them to plaques to form, and then you have heart attacks and the like. So it's far-reaching. Something as simple as brushing your teeth regularly. I mean, it goes beyond just that. It's further protective. So it's not just on the surface of it.
Yes. So beyond the odor and some of these things, it also affects the heart. Now, I've actually heard that, if you don't brush your teeth at night, it actually affects your heart in some ways. Is it true? So I saw, I don't know, there's this gentleman on social media that does some content on that. I mean, tries to make it funny and all of that, but talks about health a lot. Dr. something, something, I don't know. Okay. I think that gentleman. Yeah, I saw a video of his that talked about that if you don't brush your teeth at night, it has an effect on your heart. Yeah, how true is that?
Well, I haven't actually come across that myself yet, but I wouldn't say it's as far-fetched. So I'll have to go and read and check more about that and see. But yes, if not brushing your teeth can lead to sepsis and to heart infections or heart diseases, then I mean, it's a good reason for which we should actually brush our teeth. So, yeah.
So everybody should brush their teeth.
Oh yeah.
All right. So please hold on for me. We'll continue the conversation. So exactly 23 minutes after 9. This is a business breakfast on Z101.9 FM, your lifestyle, your leisure, and business platform. And this morning we're talking about personal hygiene and how that affects your health. And I have 2 doctors in studio who are having this conversation with me. I have Dr. Charles Ahiagbe, and also Dr. Nehemiah Osei. And these are the 2 gentlemen I'm speaking to. You can join the conversation. Please feel free to send us a WhatsApp, 0544321019, 0544321019. And then we'll give you the opportunity we'll read your messages for you. You can as well call us on 03039 56641, 03039 56641, and then we'll give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please drop a comment and I will read them for you accordingly. All right, gentlemen, let's continue the conversation. So now we've spoken about the oral hygiene.
Yeah.
We talk about the genital areas and all of that. What is the effect of not taking proper care of that?
You know,
Charles.
Okay, so fine. There's a lot. I mean that encompasses. So, for example, let's say probably the place is bushy. I mean, we get what that means, right? They are, I mean, diseases that you can transmit, like lice. It's still there. Yeah.
Even after bathing well.
Yes.
Oh, bath and scratch.
No. It's not enough. It would help, but it's not enough.
I see.
Yes, it's not enough. But if you'd allow me to backtrack a bit, in addition to the
oral thing,
okay. I just want to chip in something that in certain jurisdictions they don't have access to toothbrushes and then toothpaste, and you find them using the chewing sticks. I mean, they chew the ends, it frays, it becomes a bristle, and they use to brush. Yes, it's actually good.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is. It is. In instances where the person will not have access to
the
toothbrush and fluoride-based toothpaste,
right,
it's better than nothing. Let's put it that way. It's better than nothing. So in those areas, it's okay. People can do that. It's better than saying that I don't have toothbrush, I don't have toothpaste, I'm just going to leave, just throw my oral care to the wind. No, it's also something that can be used, and then it offers some form of benefit. Yes. So to come back to that with yes. So one, I mean, the odor from that place would not be so pleasant, right? I mean, you don't take good care of it. What happens is that there's sweat, and then the bacteria that feeds on the sweat and then releases, I mean, the smell that will not smell so pleasant. So there is that one to it. And then if it's that way and then there are infections, you could get cracks, and I mean, the skin could crack, you could get sores there, and then it further predisposes you to other sexually transmitted infections.
Right. I know it's not just limited to the bushy thing. Boys or guys, one of the major things that we hear a lot of people talk about is the fact that we repeat boxes and things a lot. How many times can you... And I'm asking for... right. Well, anyway, so how many times can you repeat a boxer? And that's a safe. Should it be just once, or how many times?
Well, I'm more inclined to go with just once. Ideally, there are different shades of different kinds of boxes. There are ones that a lot of them actually keep in the sweat. So if you use them one time, you don't want to use the musty thing that have gathered odor and dirt another time again. So,
and what is the effect? Fine. What is the effect?
Well, I mean, it's all that place has skin around it. So if you gather dirt and sweat for a long time, the skin there gets very wrinkled up and is susceptible to infections, especially for those who have not been circumcised. They can get some things called balanitis and all that. There's infection that affects the sheath that's around the penis and all that. Yeah. But initially, when I also had the idea about genital hygiene in mind, particularly the woman, especially with the menstrual period and menstrual flow, for them, it's quite a big issue. Blood itself, it's a good medium for which bacteria can grow. So if every month you are shedding off blood from there.
Oh, feel free. Look, we shouldn't shy away from mentioning some of these things. We should.
Yeah, okay. So if every month they are shedding off blood and then they are not trained to keep themselves properly and well, they are susceptible to a lot of infections, and which eventually lead to the sepsis that we talked about when we're talking about the oral hygiene. So yes, for the ladies particularly, it's quite an issue.
Right.
They don't have access to good menstrual hygiene.
Right. So they need to pay so much attention to that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what other ones are there apart from oral and I mean, we've talked about the hand washing bit. We've talked about the genital. Is that all?
There's also grooming, right? I mean, it's also plays a part in because remember we said that in addition to preventing others from catching disease, it also makes you socially acceptable, right? So you look good, and it opens opportunities for you, right? They said, I mean, dress how you want to be addressed, right? So there is that bit there is that bit of it too. I mean, keeping your nails, I mean, very short. The reason being that it can harbor germs.
Okay.
Hand washing, you may not be able to get into
the
those crevices to get all the germs out. So then there is that aspect to it too. I mean, keeping the hair. I mean, if you keep bushy hair, then make sure that it's kept really clean. Yes.
Right. Yes. And socks. I think it's a very important one. We haven't spoken about that. Yes. How often must you change your socks?
Well, I think after one day use, it's fine to change it, because then there are fungal infections that affects the feet too. So you don't want to put yourself at risk of getting some of these infections.
Okay.
So yeah, fungal infections are actually pretty common for most people. In between the toes, you see you see all that. So I mean, to prevent yourself from getting that, I think one day use, especially if you use it for like maybe 6 hours straight and plus, you should change it the next day. Yeah.
All right. So if you're listening to us, please, this is for you. Okay. All right. So what are some of the everyday habits that we take for granted that actually pose very serious or put us at a very serious health risk that you know of? Charles.
Okay, so in addition to those that we've already discussed, neglecting hand washing, oral hygiene, I mean, changing our underwear as and when we should. I mean, as regularly as should.
Yeah.
Let me backtrack, right? Not as and when, but as regularly as you should.
Yeah.
There are things like wearing of personal protective equipment, like the nose mask, right? That in doing that, fine, you may feel I'm okay, right? But what of the next person? So you wear that, and at least you contain the germs with yourself, so that you don't move around spreading it, right?
Yeah.
To open it into the broader circle, I mean, we have just indiscriminate dumping of late rubbish anywhere into the gutters. I mean, we see all this. We have open defecation. It actually is still a problem.
I was talking about that a while ago. I recently went to do some baptism at one of the beaches here in Accra. And every step you take, you have to be careful, because if you don't take care, you land somewhere you don't want to land, you know. and that's I mean, I know we are laughing, but it's a very serious issue that we need to do a lot of things about. But continue what you were saying.
Okay.
Doc.
So in addition to that, and then even looking around, right? I mean, where you go and buy food, it's said that usually the food vendors who are close to the very smelly gutters have the tastiest foods, right? But we shouldn't just look at that, right? What of its impact on your health? There are flies there, there are other germs there, and then, I mean, you buy, you take it, and then you get ill. So there are those things we should look at. I mean, just goes beyond that, and I mean...
Neema, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, not so much. I mean, he's placed a lot of emphasis on especially the surroundings or the environment, on where we get our food and things from. I think that's one key thing. We've associated bad or unhealthy surroundings with pleasant or good tasting food for too long. Aside that, I think we are mostly here to hammer on the basics. So things like even brushing your teeth twice a day. It's as often as we say it, not many people are even doing it. So I mean, even the basics we've all just hammered on as much as possible. These are things that we already overlook. So we're trying to make a conscious effort.
All right. Okay. Still connecting personal hygiene to, I mean, everyday life. When you walk through the markets, the food joints, and I'm particularly concerned because they are serving several people, and somebody will come and buy food here. And they may not even live in a community. They are traveling to another place, and then, you know, the thing continues to spread. So that's why I'm very concerned. But when you walk through the markets, the food joints, even school compound, what are some of the hygiene red flags that jump at you?
Okay, so for one rule of thumb I personally use is that I may not have a picture of the vendor's kitchen, but looking at the vendor's appearance, it would give me an idea about her kitchen and then her the sanitary precautions she takes. Yeah. So generally, I go for buying food hot, or when you buy it from outside, then have a way of warming it, heating it up, then allow it to cool, then you eat. That way, you know that heat will take care of certain proportion of the germs in there, right? But as much as possible, you go somewhere and then it's close to a gutter, and then there are germs. I mean, there are flies excuse me to say. I mean, come on, nobody needs to tell you that. I mean, look elsewhere, right? And foods that are served cold, like these drinks that the vendors move with, you should be very careful, right? Because it's something that is served cold. It's a nice environment for germs to grow. You buy that. Has she washed her hands? I mean, how did she even get it into that container? I mean, that's how you should be thinking, right? And then, so basically, just buy from where you can trust the source. Like
The source.
at least, in as much as you can see it, at least it looks clean. It looks good to purchase from.
Right. Okay. How does that, now we know that personal hygiene is something very important, and poor personal hygiene actually has an effect on our health. How does it affect national productivity? Yes, Neymar.
Well, as we've probably iterated or said earlier before, keeping poor hygiene can actually lead to infections. Infections will necessarily mean that you'd have to take some time away from work. You'd have to take some time away from school. So essentially, productivity will be reduced if you have to take some time away from work. It leads to increased mortalities, morbidity. So people may get deformed or die from some of the extreme measures they take in terms of poor personal hygiene. So all this would affect the nation, I think, in a general sense. So in as much as, yes, personal hygiene is about us, as Charles earlier said, it's also meant to protect the people around us. So it's a very good conscious effort for us to take note of.
All right, Charles, you have anything to
Okay,
add?
so Nemi spoke about absenteeism. There's also presenteeism, right? Where you are at work, but you are not really working because you're not able to, you're unwell. And so there's that aspect too, and its effect, because totally we have 10 people expecting a certain output at the end of the day. You have 8 because 2 are sick, and then out of that 8, it's only 5 that are actually fully fit, because this other guy has diarrhea, and then every 5 minutes he has to run to the washroom. So, I mean, what is he doing there? And definitely work output would be decreased, and then that brings down revenue for that organization. Then more to that too, we would have the government having to spend lots of money, getting, resuscitation items, right? Or drugs, vaccines for people who are affected by these conditions that can be prevented. So funds that could be used for something else is being channeled to solve these. So it has far-reaching effects even beyond the individual, the community. It even has an effect on the nation as a whole.
And even the healthcare system.
Yes.
Right. Okay. For businesses, I'm sure there are some businesses that are listening to us, business people, because we focus largely on business. So we get a lot of people who are listening to us who are business people. So how can they create an environment that will help them to, as it were, improve productivity or maintain productivity by putting in some personal hygiene stuff? I don't know if you get what I'm asking. Yeah.
So we earlier stated that we are not reminded enough about our personal hygiene practices. So it should be made known to every worker at every place that there's a place for washing your hands probably when you get into the office, and as often as possible. If you wash your hands just once in the entire 24-hour period, you're obviously not going to get as much clean hands as someone who washes it at least 6 times in a day. So as often as possible, before you eat, after you eat, before any major tasks, when you go to the washroom to pee or anything, just wash your hands quite often as possible. These will help the workplaces. Availability of constant running water. I know they don't always have a sole responsibility in terms of water availability, but if they can make sure that they always have enough stored water that can be used up or can be used in the process of washing your hands, I think it goes a long way. I think for business reasons or people who are more interested in business fields, I think it's one of the areas. For those who are in the food industry particularly, it's not just about their customers' hygiene to those who are preparing the food, the hygiene they keep, washing their utensils. Not just cook a whole meal and leave it for some few minutes or some flies to hover over, then prepare another meal right directly into it. So the practices of their cooks or their chefs in there, and basically I think that is for the businesses.
Right, Charles.
I just wished that the country could be as we were when COVID was at its peak. it would really help.
It's quite unfortunate that we return
Yes.
to, I mean, so what we call normal, a
Very
normal
fast.
way of life, you know. We threw away the nose
Yeah.
masks. We stopped washing our hands. We stopped being careful. I mean, we started peeling off all the notices on walls and all of that. But continue, Charles.
Yes. So I mean, you've just said it all. But you know, the availability of employers actually made sure that their workplaces had this hand wash stations
Yeah.
for one, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there were nose masks available at
On one
the
side.
front
Yeah.
decks and all that. So I just wish we can go back to that.
Mm.
If not for anything, the effect or the impact we saw on the decline in diarrhea-related diseases and cholera-related diseases during this period, I think if not for anything, we can have that benefit if we have these hand wash basins at vantage points. I mean, you go also and you see that the basin has been there like 3 months. It's
no
dusty.
water,
It's still there.
yeah, it's
no
still
water,
there, no water, nothing.
So I just wish, I just hope that we could go back to it. There's no COVID, but we've seen the benefits of having such. And then when people are ill and really they have we should be generous, right? Let them stay at home, right? They come, they spread to everybody at the workplace, and everybody is ill, and everybody goes home, takes it to their children. Their children take it to school, and then we just have it circulating that way. So I just hope that the level of sensitization or the level of consciousness that was present when we had COVID is back. Not the scare of it or all that, but then there's that conscious effort and that conscientiousness in the Ghanaian. I hope it's back. I just wish, I don't know what we can do, but I just wish that
we can go back to those days where we're more intentional and more careful about some of these things. But let's stay on the barriers for a few minutes.
Okay.
I think we tried to talk about that earlier. But so do you think it's a mindset thing? Because when COVID came, we're all up and about, we're concerned. Everybody, when you go to you visit somebody, say remove your slippers here, do this here before you come in. You know, they try to do all of those things. Do you think we are just negligent? Do you think is a fact of the matter of infrastructure, or it is anything else? What exactly is the problem?
I think part of the reason why all that became a big deal was the scare, and I think for a while, whilst we're being scared, we're also craving a bit of normalcy to our previous life. So we quickly rushed back to what we're doing before, as soon as we noticed that there's not much to be afraid of anymore. So yes, to some extent, it's innate or personal. It's an innate thing for most of us to just go on ahead and maybe pay a bit little attention to washing our hands or using our mask here and there. So what was the question again?
So I was asking that. But you've answered. You've answered the question. Yes, I was asking what exactly is stopping us from actually putting in place some of these measures we're talking about. So. And I'm asking whether it is the lack of infrastructure, so say water facilities and all of that. Because we talked about open defecations. Is it because people don't have toilet facilities in their communities? Is that the problem, Charles?
Yes, it's very prevalent. But this is my view, right? We tend to push everything to the authorities. But I feel if you get some money to build some structure for yourself, you should also be able to provide at least a KVIP.
Yeah.
Just, within that. So you hear the complaints, we don't have toilet facilities. And I'm like, okay, but you have a house. And I'm like, so, why couldn't
when you were building.
Exactly, just make provision for that. And, the effects of open defecation, it's a whole chain, right? That needs to be looked at. And then another thing too with the whole back to normalcy is you visited a place and then they actually had running water, like a school, water coming from a Veronica bucket or something of the sort, right? So children could wash their hands after running water. You go back, in these times, and then you see that it's just a basin, one with soapy water, the other one with somewhat clear water, right?
Yeah.
And then they're expecting you wash your hands in the soapy one. Then everybody's just dumping the germs there. I dump mine, the Nemi picks it up, You come and pick it up, you rinse it, and then we go. So I just hope, my hope is that if we could just go back to how things were when we had COVID, how conscious we were, how careful we were, I think it would really help and
right.
push things forward.
To also go back with the whole open defecation, lack of toilet facilities. To go back with the whole open defecation, lack of toilet facilities. So I completed my medical training with the University of Health and Allied Sciences class of 2022. So we actually conducted a study or a research with the help of some of our lecturers on some of the rural areas around our town, like in Hood. And then we found out that some of these communities do have like a built or supposed to be functioning public toilets. It's just that they are not well kept, and because of that, nobody wants to go in there. So then everybody just resorts to the open defecation. So it's one thing where we can have the facilities and then we don't manage them very well, or we don't get any designated people or persons to keep them clean. It discourages people from even deciding to use the facility in any way. So then it comes back to bite us, then we go back to the open defecation practices and the effects that ripple from there on.
Right. And that's very true, because sometimes, I mean, I think one of the problems is also finances for some people. They have money to buy food, but never to go and visit these. Because sometimes I walk around and you can see a small boy comes to you and say, oh, they need a coin to go and, So if they don't have, they'll find somewhere. And it's not even just at our beaches. Sometimes you walk in Accra. I have been to, the stadium area. There's this bus on the side I don't know, there's this Access Bank just closer to the stadium. So between the stadium and Access Bank, there's a bus that is closer to the stadium wall. And if you go to that place, people actually, it is unfortunate, people actually use that particular place as their own thing. One day I was what was I even doing? I was just passing there and I could smell something so bad. Charlie, man, let me not talk about it. Yes, it's something that we have to be really, because that area is also somewhere we have foreigners come and watch matches and all of that. It doesn't give a good image to our country, and we need to do something very, very good about it. But how much do our cultural practices, traditions, taboos, and all of these things affect hygiene in Ghana, in your opinion, Charles?
Okay. So for one, I mean, going back to some of the things we see, so we have some practices that are actually good. So we would have to commend those practices, right? So for example, as we stated earlier, in areas where, I mean, they don't have access to fluoride-based toothpaste and then toothbrushes, they tend to use the miswax, the chewing sticks, and so that is a good thing. That is a good thing that we need to comment, hoping that maybe in the future they'll be able to have access to, I mean, the fluoride-based toothpaste and then toothbrushes, right? But we have these people that move around, these local circumcision guys, I think we call them wanzams. Yeah, that, so you have them and then you're not really sure of how they sterilize their instruments after use, right? And then there are reports of these acts contributing to transmission of sexually transmitted infections. So we have that aspect there. And there is something also with menstrual hygiene that there's still a discussion going on around it, right? About the use of silicone caps. Elsewhere, Southern Africa, it's a little, I mean, accepted, right? Yes. So these are silicone caps. I mean, maybe the upfront cost may be a little expensive, but then you buy that, you can fix it. It stays there for the whole day. It collects blood. You get it out. You sterilize it and then use it the next day. So, and it will last for about 5 to 10 years. But then, I mean, inserting that, would it break my virginity if I'm a virgin and all that? So these are cultural challenges affecting. So somebody who has that option would rather go for tissue or newspaper or something instead of that option being available, being the silicone cap, right? because parts are, I mean, they're expensive. I mean, they are expensive. You move out of Accra and realize that it's
actually something very, I mean, it's for people hard to purchase and all of that. So, and I think I've seen some projects going around. I mean, even government has introduced some free sanitary parts initiative or something. Yeah, and then I've seen individuals also start setting foundations and they travel to some of these areas to help the young people there. And I think that is something very commendable. Okay, let's talk about solutions. Our time is almost up. And so let's talk about some of the solutions. Now, if there's anybody listening to us and they're wondering if you could recommend just 3 personal hygiene habits that they should take or they should never compromise on, what would that be? I think we've mentioned a lot of them, but let's try and rehash them and then,
I mean, for me, I would say it's the hand washing. When it comes to hand washing, it can save us from a lot of things. In essence, we should just master the basics of a hand washing and focus on more consistency. And then basically, it would make hygiene accessible to everybody. Water should be accessible for everyone to use. Soap should be available. In terms of menstrual hygiene practices, we should have our pads and available to all the females too. So, right. Hygiene is something I think they shouldn't compromise.
You should not compromise.
Yes. Aside that, oral is good. Keeping a good oral dentition, like brushing your teeth at least twice a day, and then the anal and genital cleanliness is perfect.
Charles.
And also, I would also add the part caring for your neighbor. So you know you are not well, you have a cold, you put on a mask, right? You contain it and then you protect your neighbor. So that's the part I would want to add to Nemi's this thing, right? Probably you know that you sweat a lot and then you have a lot of odor in your armpits, right? You don't want to make your colleague uncomfortable. I mean, get some antiperspirant, right? Get some lemons, get something. So I just want to add that part that, I mean, look out for other people too. So in addition to doing that, knowing that you're not protecting only yourself, but others too, and you should care. You should care enough to want to protect other people.
Okay. Yes. All right, great. What role should schools play in, I mean, when I started the conversation, I said that most of us got to hear about personal hygiene at a very young age through our schools and all of that. I'm not too sure whether they still pay so much attention to it these days, but what role should they play in shaping personal hygiene at a very early stage of the lives of our young people? So, Neymar.
So yes, the school should be one of the first places our children or the children learn about personal hygiene practices. Ensuring that the people school before they go to the washroom, they wash their hands. When they come out, they wash their hands. Things like this get to stick with them as they grow up. Yes, re-emphasizing the need for brushing their teeth, the nursery rhymes, and all the songs they sing. I mean, it really helps rehydrate in their mind. Even if they don't practice it early enough, at least they know what's supposed to be done, and eventually it will be done if it's continuously hammered. So yeah, I think the school is one of the first places that people should learn about these practices.
All right. Charles, you have anything to, or you agree with him?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But there are lots of young people. You want to say something?
Yes,
sure,
I think in addition, I should say that I don't know if it's a cultural thing or it's something about Ghanaians, timidity or unwillingness to actually open up and talk.
Right.
So in terms of the school area, I think we should encourage the children to speak more, especially during the transition from their junior years to adolescent years. Both girls and boys, they all start having changes, which will require them to double up on their basic hygiene practices. Right. So confidence should be built in the schools and to help out. Yeah.
Okay. So. And what should we do for those who are also not in school? Because not every young person is in school. I know we've made some progress with access to education and all of that, but what do we do for those who are not in school? How do we get them on board as well?
Okay, so I mean, this is one of the avenues. Hopefully, they are listening to ZFM, and then they'll get the education. So the education should go out there. It shouldn't be just limited to the premises of schools. I mean, churches. I mean, just everywhere. The word should go out there in print, electronic media. The word should go out there. And then, I mean, when people they keep hearing something, I mean, they would. Chances are that they would listen.
They would listen, just like we saw with COVID. I think that when we do, it will help. Yes. One of the things, I mean, I'm more concerned about the business people and the workplaces. So let's give some very concrete ideas for businesses and workplaces to actually adopt to emphasize the need or to shape personal hygiene or hygiene practices in their spaces? So, Neymar, you can.
I mean, for ideas particularly, for where I'm mostly concerned about is the environment, as Charles earlier stated, making sure the environment is clean and was appealing to the eye for even the tourists to want to come out and hang around. And the fact that they should have constant running water as much as possible. If they cannot have a constant flow from the Ghana Water Service, they should have stored up water that is well kept and then devoid of any debris that can be used to wash their hands and make it available for all people. They should ensure that their staff wash their hands regularly, because if any restaurant or any food industry should have any breakout of cholera or any other these fecal orally transmitted diseases, it mostly stems from the fact that their cooks are doing something wrong, or probably where they are sourcing their food stuff from, their meat or other food products. But basically, if they ensure that their staff keeps good personal hygiene, they can cut down on a lot of these diseases that are spreading around. So, yes.
Okay. Do you have anything to add, Charles?
No, not much. Not much. I think he said it.
Right. I think sanitizers used to be very common. Yes. And I think every office should have some sanitizer in their office spaces. Spraying it from time to time, cleaning the place, I think that is also very, very helpful. Yeah. And then, so finally, what should governments do in all of these things we're talking about? Should they focus on infrastructure? Should they focus on education, or maybe enforcement?
All of those. All of those.
So which one should come first, or it should be carried out at once?
Yes. So I think infrastructure should be made available. I think intuitively, of course, but you should know that after using the toilet, you should wash your hand. But you go and then there is no water available, because water is not available at the place. What do? You just walk away, right? Alcohol-based sanitizers are good, at least 70%. They are good, but the ideal is to wash with soap and water. Yes, because washing actually takes away the germs. The sanitizers will kill them to an extent, but it's still in your palms, right? So the best would be having water, right? Having water, creating access to clean potable water, in all parts of the country. Not only government, I think there are NGOs that support in this drive too. All hands on deck, right? Business people, everybody, let's come together and then and have that done. When there is water, a lot of things with hygiene is taken care of. If there's water to bath, water to brush your teeth, water to cook clean food, water to wash your dishes, then you have that cycle of complete care. So then definitely those campaigns you used to run, as you rightly said at the beginning, right, about them, washing your hand with soap and water.
Yeah.
That good. So those campaigns should roll back, right? Those campaigns too should roll back. So I think all that should come together again, and then we can make more progress.
Okay. You have anything to add finally?
He really hammered on all the big guns, and,
right.
and I think education also, it's very, very key in my opinion. Education is like the most key thing. That advert you made mention of actually is one very good one. It scarred us when we were children. So when you are going from the bathroom to your eating your food, imagine that this can be on your hand. It actually helps out. So I think if they focus a lot on education, even if the things are not available, they'll try to force their leaders and then try and make things up themselves to ensure that their practices are held up. So,
all right. Let's give some inspiration before we go. So if we're able to get personal hygiene correct with all these things that we are talking about, where do you think we will be, in the next, say, 5 years or 10 years? So in terms of our healthcare system, what are some of the things that we're going to see if we're able to do this right?
Okay, so I'll start by saying, generally, in our healthcare system, there has been an increasing burden on some of the non-communicable diseases, like diabetes, hypertension, heart conditions, and all that. And with this increasing burden, we want to reduce the number of cases that are coming in from things that are easily preventable. So from cholera, typhoid, all those things. We do not want them to become huge issues as we are trying to tackle these other non-communicable diseases. So if we are able to hammer very well on our personal hygiene practices, we can get rid, or to some extent eliminate, some of these communicable diseases from our hospitals or from being a common thing in our hospitals, and we can focus more on some of the other things that tend to be appearing more now.
Right. Charles, any final words?
Okay, I'll just want to make a quick plug.
Sure.
Okay, so it's Pink October, and it's the month dedicated for breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage all female listeners to have their breast examined and checked. And also, there's vaccination for cervical against HPV, right? That is, the leading cause of cervical cancer in females. It's available for girls ages 9 to 14 from the 7th of October. Government health facilities would have that. So our daughters ages 9 to 14 should visit the nearest health facility for this vaccination to protect them against cervical cancer in future. So I just want to drop that in.
All right. Any final words, Neymar? Oh, we're good.
Basically the same thing.
Okay.
It's master the basics.
All right.
Focus on consistency and make hygiene accessible. I think this is the key point of this.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. I think it's been a very great conversation. I've enjoyed myself. I've learned a lot of things from you, and I'm really grateful that you came. All right.
Thank you too.
Okay. All right. So that's how we wrap up today. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's conversation on the Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM. If there's anything we should all take away, is the fact that personal hygiene is not just a private matter. It is not just about you. It's also about the people that are around you, the people that you are related to in your workplace, in your offices, in your household, wherever you buy food, wherever you sell food. Personal hygiene is supposed to be something very, very important to you. And every time you wash your hands, you care for your teeth, you handle food properly or support menstrual hygiene, you are not just protecting yourself, you're also strengthening your family, your workplace, and your nation. And the truth is that clean habits save lives. And they also save businesses by cutting down on sick days and also boosting productivity. So as you step out today, just remember that the little things matter. Your hygiene is very, very important. Hygiene is health and health is wealth. So make sure that you protect yourself accordingly. Well, thank you very much for staying with us, and thank you to our guests for sharing their insights with us this morning. Dr. Charles Ahinyagbe is a medical doctor, of course, and also Dr. Neymar Ose. These are the two gentlemen who joined me for this conversation this morning. All right, so thanks so much for sharing your